All right, good evening and welcome to Success Climbers Universal. My name is Botumi Emmanuel. Today we will be dealing with a very sensitive issue that governs leadership in call. Topic for today is ensuring clarity. Here in Success Climbers, what we do is to ensure we raise leaders who can stand the test of time. Leaders that will go out there and change people. Leaders that don't only know the right thing to do, but they have the strong will towards delivering it. Now, many times we've seen a lot of people speak, but they don't speak clearly. It seems to be that they speak and people don't understand. One of the core and sensitive area in leadership is speaking and speaking clearly. Now, clarity can be highly underrated. You see, I've heard so many people say, "Oh, I don't know why they cannot understand what I say." Probably the challenge is about how you say it and to whom you say it to. And probably the challenge is the premise to which the statement or direction or instruction is being given. So quickly, let's dive into today's topic, and I'm sure at the end of it all, we are going to come up with a lot of clarity towards delivering our communication to our people. Yeah, quickly, here is our icebreaker. So let's take it this way. How would you feel if you understand everything? That is the first question for you. Secondly, how would you feel if you need an interpreter to understand everything? Do you derive joy when people are confused about what you said? Now, you see, these questions are important. It gives you a direction to what you need to know when you speak to people. How do you feel if you can understand everything? It helps you to know that you need to speak in a clearer way that people will understand. Now, look at this very well, and I'm sure you will agree with me to what this quote is saying. If you don't communicate clearly for them to understand, they will do what they understand. I'm going to say it again. If you don't communicate clearly for them to understand, they will do what they understand. The truth is, the intent of your communication is not for them to do what they intend to do, but it's for them to do what you really intended them to do. Now, how best do you have to make this communication clear to them? And that is what we're ensuring. If you do not keep your communication in a minute for them to clearly understand, they will certainly do what they intend to do. The question you now ask yourself, what do I truly want? Do I want to confuse them? Do I want them to go and find out what my intents are? Or I want them to do what they need, what I want them, or I want them to do what I intend. So because what you intend and they understanding your intent is the key towards execution. What you intend and they understanding your intent is the key towards execution. And what we are trying to achieve is the right execution of your proposed intent. Now, look at this again. The human mind is already subjugated. What do we mean? The human mind is already won over. There are premises to which the human mind was formed. There are premises to which the human mind was built. Now, if we have this understanding that the human mind is built differently, or the human mind has been developed over time, or should I say the human mind has been won over, it helps you to understand clearly that you need to grow the human mind towards understanding what you intend it to be. Okay, let me put it in slideshow. Now, the human mind is already subjugated. So what should we do? The biggest challenge, therefore, is that the biggest challenge I see is perspective and not just misunderstanding. There is a difference. So what do I advise? You treat the mind with wisdom. You treat the mind with wisdom. Perspective has been the biggest challenge. Why? People are born differently. People are raised differently. People have different friends. People are being communicated to differently. Our religion are different. Our circumference are different. Our cycles of influences are different. Now, these and many more are the things that permeated people's thought and intent. Therefore, the mind think in line with what has been conceived over time. Now, this implies that if we don't understand people and the premise to which they stand, and knowing fully well that their minds have been subjugated, knowing fully well that they have the will for a free thinking ability, we will assume and therefore perspective become a challenge. And when there is differences in perspective, we call it misunderstanding. So now misunderstanding becomes the result of the challenge of the premise. Misunderstanding becomes the result. So as a leader, you need to bring the people to the point of your premise. Both of you need to be under the same premise to foster the right knowledge and understanding. Okay, now the next thing I will want to bring to your attention is this. People can't see your heart. I will say it again. People cannot see your heart. What they hear from you gives them direction of your intent and purpose. People cannot see your heart. What they hear from you gives them what? Direction of your intent and purpose. Now, if you understand that people cannot see your heart, what should you do? You speak, because it is about what you say that gives them the direction of what you think about. Now, you think of something, they hear what you think. You think of something, they hear what you think. The moment you understand that they hear what you think, it means that you need to communicate your thought clearly. Now, that is the reason we are discussing this. Clear communication of your consciousness to people is what we are talking about. There is something you have crafted in your mind. There is something you've thought in your mind. How do I know that? You need to express it. The expression of your thought in the best way for me to understand is what instruction and direction means. Now, there is no clear instruction and direction without a clear communication being given. When people begin to come back to ask questions of what did you say or where should I go to, it means communication has not been clearly given. So people cannot see your heart. They only see through the direction of your words. They only get the direction and the intent and purpose through what you say. Therefore, what does that mean? Your mouth is the direction of your heart. Your mouth is the direction of your intent. Your mouth speaks and explains what your mind has crafted. Therefore, what you need to do is ensuring that you do the right thing and say the right things. Now look at it. Perfect execution is a clear sign of a perfect understanding. Perfect execution is a clear sign of a perfect understanding. You see, when you give people instruction and they don't need to come back to continue to ask you, what did you say? How do I go about it? It means that they have a clear understanding. But what does that mean? It means that the instruction was well given. You have won the moment they understand. The moment they understand, you've won. It means you don't really need to come back to them, or they don't really need to come back to you. All they need to do is to go over there, execute clearly, and come back with the right result. They go over there, they execute clearly, and come back with the right result. They have a clear instruction, deep understanding, perfect execution, outstanding result, and victory is achieved. When you have clear instruction, deep understanding, perfect execution, outstanding result, what happened? Victory is achieved. These things can only come to fruition when there is a clear communication. Alright, you see, you don't need power. I'm going to say this very clearly just so you understand. You don't need power to control the people. What you need is clear communication to guide. You don't need power to control the people. What you need is a clear communication to guide. Power is not for control, but is for influence towards ensuring willingness. I'm going to say it again. Power is not for control, but it is for influence towards ensuring willingness. People begin to be willing because you communicate with some level of understanding. It is the level to which you communicate clearly that brings the people to the point of willingness. When people hear your vision, how best have you communicated it to them in a glance? That is the level to which people will begin to be willing. We are talking about willing. We have said that power is not for control. You don't need power to control. What you need is clear communication. What you need is to bring them to the point of understanding that your influence is seen behind them. They began to run with your dream and your vision, and people begin to say, yes, of a truth, these guys have bought the vision of this man. Why? Because clear communication is there to guide. Clear communication is there to guide. Now look at this. When your people understand you clearly, they run with your vision. When your people understand you clearly, they begin to run with your vision. When they don't, the vision becomes a burden. Now, you see, many people will complain and they say, oh, I don't understand why it seems to be people don't get it right. I'm looking for people who can join me in my dream. Now, this is it. When the people cannot understand you clearly, your vision becomes a burden. Every day they want to come to work, it looks as if they are coming to do a lot of farm work or a lot of drudgery commitment. They are not there to put in that commitment towards ensuring that your purpose and your visions come to pass. What you need to do is to give them clear communication. When a vision is not clearly stated, it becomes a burden. So I need you to have this in your mind. Look at this. The human mind is a complex space. The human mind is a complex space. Okay, if you understand that the human mind is a complex space, it gives you a sense of urgency that you have just 1 minute. All you have is 1 minute to communicate clearly your thought. Every now and then, the mind is not isolated from reasoning. The mind can never be a tabula rasa. The mind is always there to work. So what do? You have just 1 minute. 1 minute to communicate your thought and intent clearly. If you can do that, you have won already. Understand this, that the human mind is a complex space. A complex space full of a lot of challenges. A complex space full of a lot of distractions here and there. So what you need is 1 minute of time to communicate your thought rightly. The moment you can do that, trust me, all will be well. What you need is the people to understand you and to get it straight on. Okay? Now, how do you understand, or how do you ensure clear communication? Now, I'm going to give us 5 keys that is going to help us to ensure clear communication very quickly. Know the premise of your listener. Know the premise of your listener. So there are some premises that governs the way people reason and the way they understand these things. Educational background, environment, financial and social status, family background, religion. There are so many. Now look at this. The premise determines their perception. The premise is a foundation to how they think. The premise is a foundation to how they understand what you are trying to say. So you need to understand that premise, relate in the premise of the listener. Especially when it comes to language, especially when it comes to the use of philosophical words. You don't really need to speak in Greek. You don't really need to speak in French. You need to calm down. When you're talking to a primary school student, you don't really need to speak as if you speak in grammar that the people or the student or whomever you're talking to or the woman in the village or whomever you're speaking to does not understand. You need to relate to them in the same premise. If you can relate in the same premise, you have won 10%. All you need to do is to relate in the same premise. Now, what is the next thing? Your body expression should match your words. You can't be saying something and your body expression is telling you another thing or is telling them something else. No, it doesn't work. Whatever thing you are saying must go in line with your body expression. Your body expression must match your words. Now, I'm going to say this. Conciseness ensures clarity. You must be concise. Remember, we said that the mind is a complex space. The mind is a complex space. You just need 1 minute to ensure clarity. You need 1 minute to tell people your thought. You need 1 minute to clarify your intent. Okay? Conciseness ensures clarity. The fifth thing I'm going to talk about is ensure your why is relatable and understood. Your why has to be relatable and very well understood. The moment your why is relatable and it is understood, trust me, you have won. When people begin to understand why you want them to do something, they begin to see the end from the beginning. When people begin to understand why you want them to do something, they are willing to abide and to go with you all day. But if they don't understand, it becomes a challenge. It becomes a challenge. Okay? Now, when people understand you, you don't always need to monitor execution. If they don't, you will hold a torchlight on them. I'm going to say this again. When people understand you, you don't always need to monitor execution. If they don't, you will hold a torchlight on them. Friends, I'm sure you understand everything we've talked about today. And if you do, take it from here, go over it again, and begin to speak clearly. Remember, if your people understand you, you don't need to on a torchlight on them. Because a clear understanding is going to yield perfect execution. A clear understanding is going to yield perfect execution. Finally, I'm going to say this, that the human mind is a complex space already. All you have is 1 minute to clearly communicate your thought. Thank you for having me. I'm sure we're going to do this again. You can reach out to me. Bothmi Emmanuel is my name. That is my email address. And of course, across social media, Bothmi Emmanuel. Therefore, I'm going to end it here today. And friends, I want to say that Success Climbers is here for you, and we will keep doing all we need to do towards ensuring that you are richly taught and we keep growing together. Our goal is to ensure we raise leaders who are willing towards ensuring to bring out the best in people. What the leader does is to lead rightly, and they exemplifies their lifestyle. They exemplify what they say. So friends, thank you for being here today, and God bless you. Ciao, ciao.